if you sign up and on a Saturday evening to hear regulations and that too in India. It's been a mad journey so far with what we did at WazirX, what Nishchal and me did in terms of fighting it out in India and what's happening in the rest of the world. But yeah, I'll take you guys through anything you guys want to know more. Stop me anywhere in between. Let's have an open session. Let's just have fun for 1 hour. I'll just share my screen.
Perfect.
Okay.
Before Aritra gets started, guys, just turn the cameras on so that we can quickly interact wherever you want, or keep the thumbs up wherever you want. You know, let's make it as interactive as it can be. Perfect.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah.
All right. To ban or not to ban? Let me ask you something before I start. I'll put your audios open also. Let's have fun. And I'll ask a very honest, open question before I tell you what we have done in the last 1.5 years, what's been happening in the rest of the world, what we have been working with governments in India and other governments. One question I want to ask before I start. Do you want to build a web3 native company out of India right now? Do you want to build a company out of India in web3 here? Or do you want to build something somewhere outside? I really want to know this before I tell you and show you anything that's coming up. Anybody, open your audios, go for it. Nobody? This sounds like this is very similar to my government meetings, and we go and beg them for things, and this is the response I get. But yeah, no worries. Whether you're building or not building, or whether you're getting into crypto, which part of crypto, I don't know. So I'll give a little today for the next 30-40 minutes. We're going to talk about what has happened in the last 4 to 5 years in terms of the laws, in terms of the regulations, in terms of the fight that some of us are doing on our fronts, on our personal fronts, backed by some of the best founders in the entire globe. I will tell you the kind of stuff that we have been doing in India, in Delhi with the government of India, the kind of stuff which has been happening in Washington by certain companies, the kind of stuff which is happening in Vietnam, South Korea. It's a very interesting time because most of the regulations and most of the government folks across the world, they are not very keen on the idea of money or currency being on a chain, right? Like governments work because of control, right? So on that sad note, on negative note, let me take you through what's been happening. We'll talk about things like, so this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the regulations part, what has happened so far. It's sort of a Hindi movie which has been happening with us, the kind of things, the kind of stuff, the kind of incidents that has happened. Then we're going to take you a little bit on, like, if you are a crypto founder today, if you are building anything on chain with or without a token, what we think is the safest bet in terms of legally going about your company. Because trust me, as a founder, we all are excited to build products, but fortunately or unfortunately, the laws and the jurisdictions make founders work on the regulations part a little bit. If you are a founder, you're building companies, you'll realize when you're starting to raise money and all of that, a lot of times we'll go in just signing documents. Founders time go in that, right? And it's not fun, right? And third, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, what I do for a living, which we genuinely believe in, how the entire ideology, the entire tech, how this tech of Web3 and whatever we define as Web3 will actually help the version of governments that you and your parents have lived under in India or anywhere across the world better it, right? Then I'll tell you the part which I honestly think is a Hindi cinema which has happened with us for the last 5 years. It's like a literal Bollywood movie which has happened with us last 5 years, or what. I'll give you an idea about the backstories of what actually happened in our regulatory fight in India with few of us. And lastly, we'll talk a little bit on the tax part and the migration part, which has happened, which is kind of sad. So we'll start off today. So a little bit on me, I'll just spend 5 seconds. I currently lead public policy and government affairs for the largest exchange in this country, which is WazirX. Before that, I built a YCOM-backed company called Local. It was a vernacular news and jobs and matrimony company. Before that, I used to piss off a lot of founders by writing investigative stories around them and on their companies at the largest business daily in this country, which is Economic Times. And even before that, I'm really old. I don't want to go beyond that. But before that, I used to review games for a living, when reviewing video games on PC World was just a niche and nobody did that. Anyway, so with my little intro out of the way, let's start with the warm world of what I called as Web3 regulation, right? This is, can you see this? You can see the chart, right? You can see everything, right? You can see now. Everybody can see
we can.
just minimize the video. All right, dude, this is how folks it used to look at 2015. You know, this is literally the map of countries which were somewhat okay with crypto back in 2015. 2015 were heydays when, you know, some of us, we were just mining. People like us were introduced to crypto back in the US, and the only version of crypto we understood was a little bit of Bitcoin and so on, the new projects which are coming up that point of time. We were creating mining machines in our houses, but it was all done in these small niche groups in India and in parts of Asia. But there was nobody in the world, and the government started hearing about crypto from 2014 end onwards. And trust me, governments know, and they do keep a track across the world in terms of what's happening, in terms of new tech coming up, industries coming up, because they run countries now, so they have information, right? So there were talks in various governments, the larger powerful economies, ki boss, ye crypto kya hai? Like, why is everybody talking about blockchain crypto? And then a sense of fear started, you know, a sense of fear started where there was a narrative which went probably of a strong narrative which was propelled across all major economies, which said that, yeah, this is going to replace rupee, this is going to replace dollar. How is this possible? Yeah? So that led to a sense of fear. That led to a sense of, who are these random people? Who are these computer guys? Who are these young, whatever? And it was a very young crowd at that point of time, apart from the OG crowd who actually wrote the code. They were afraid. They were like, this is not possible. This cannot happen. You can't do this in countries like North America or India or most of the other European nations also, right? Everybody was against it. There was a unanimous thing that this is absolute crap. This is not going to happen. This is not supposed to happen. So we have, let it happen. Let it see till what size it grows. We're going to ban it. And this is how they looked at it. They even looked at it as like, oh shit, this is like the dark web, you know. This the same way they looked at things like encryption in the early 90s. By the way, you could go to jail in the US if you're using an encryption software back in the early 90s. It was that bad, right? Now, come 2021, this is how it looks. I mean, it's an old chart. I've not updated it in 2022. This is literally how it looks like, right? Now, the green are the ones, the countries which are fundamentally okay with the idea of crypto. You won't get barred or jailed, or no tax authority is going to come running after your lives if you do crypto and Web3 companies in these areas. But the latter, as you can see, India is marked as orange, and I'm saying larger parts of Asia is all, Russia and all marked as orange. I mean, these countries are still not division. Certain departments of the government are not okay with the ideology. There are still a lot of debates going on. So in short, and the last from 2014, 2015, since the first time the world saw the original Bitcoin white paper till now, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. Why? And I want to be really honest and blunt with this. There are not many people working on the law and the regulatory front. There were not many people from this industry who wanted to take an active part, devote 5 or 10 years of their life, redoing laws, understanding the tech and translating the tech into some amount of policy language and law language. That language is very different, right? And somebody had to do it. Law firms across the world were not trained in this. They have never seen this kind of, even today, I can count on my fingers 3 or 4 good law firms or policy firms across the world, literally, who have people who actually understand this. There was no collaboration. So crypto and the Web3 community was working in silos. The larger government was working in a silo. There was no collaboration. They thought, the government thought, this is just a Pied Piper dream project and they'll fizzle away. These guys thought, we don't need the law, we don't need the regulations. That's highly stupid. If you're building a business in this world, you have to understand you can do so much, you can raise so much, you can build a company, you can hire people, but boss, you're living in countries. And the countries are run by governments, and the governments have certain rules, right? You go against them, you face the flag, right? I'm not saying things are perfect everywhere. So this is how things have changed over the years. Now, what we'll particularly discuss right now is, and this is in my point of view and what I saw from like literally what we saw when we were building WazirX in 2019. Nishal, Siddharth, and Sameer, they were building the company in 2018. At that point of time, 98% of all exchanges in this country had shut down, because the RBI had put up a law saying that if you own a Bitcoin in any token in this country, boss, I'll put you in jail. Terko main jail mein dalega, right? Getting given one crypto was, I'll put you up in jail. And it's not funny, man. Like you and me, normal people, imagine the idea of, oh shit, but still people continue doing it, right? That's how tech works, and that's how things scale on the internet, right? From that till now, a lot has changed. I'll go at the later part. But what I have gathered in the last 3 years, based on the way the industry has progressed in terms of the kind of product companies which are being built on chain, the kind of narratives that has come up because of the advancement which has been made in the tech, the kind of the kind of social narratives which has been formed because of people getting jobs during pandemic. I mean, heck, the Web3 industry was the only industry during COVID in India which was hiring. The rest of the startup world in Bangalore was left, right, center firing. There was Series A, Series B company which had raised 100, 200 million firing. I mean, now, in the last 2 or 3 years, various governments, especially in terms of our conversations with folks at Washington, folks in Dubai, folks here in India, folks in Singapore, folks in South Korea, I have figured out in my way that these are the 4 or 5 major things that bother governments, and governments have power, governments have the tools, and they run the country. So there's no point, going on social media, Twitter, what you are doing is wrong. Aap jo kar rahe ho, galat hai. Rather you come, even if you're a founder, you come do these things along with us. It angers me. I'm a product guy who got into this because I genuinely believe this has to be fought for, right? So that's one thing which has changed a lot. Today, weekly, we sit with 10 to 15 founders of the largest crypto companies, like protocols, exchanges from across the world. They sit with us. They sit with us, they debate, they help us frame these arguments. So that part has changed. There is active participation. But still, problem kya hai? Matlab, where is the problem? Government ko kya problem hai? Kya dikkat hai, right? So one of the things that the government still thinks is a problem is the definition of crypto. I do not think, honestly, there is any law in the world right now which understands the entire end-to-end ideology or entire end-to-end idea of how does an on-chain company actually work? How does the blockchain actually work? There are many debates. That is why, first point, as you can see, I've written things like utility, commodity, and security. Kya matlab hai? Matlab, what the heck does it even mean, right? Why am I even putting words like that? Now, these are old words, right? They have been put in financial laws dictionaries for since the last 70 or 80 years. These definitions were made 60, 70 years ago in our lives. So now what's happening in the first point, all governments across the world are trying to force fit anything to do with on-chain, anything to do with crypto or Web3 into these definitions. It's wrong, if you ask me. There are a lot of tokens and securities. There are a lot of tokens and there are a lot of coins which act as a commodity, but there are a lot of tokens and coins which also act as a security. But there are a lot of coins which are not commodities but act as a utility. But what's happening right now is every government across the world is trying to force fit it. What is Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin is a commodity. What is Ethereum? I think Ethereum is a security. By the way, I hope the United States government doesn't put Ethereum as a security. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be really bad for the market. So right. So 1 second. Now, if you break it down, in terms of arguments, like, as I mentioned the word security. Now, let's not go into hardcore economics discussion on a Saturday evening. Now, I'll break the 3 definitions down, right? Now, majority of the government across the world want to define crypto as a commodity, right? But when you start reading the definitions of the boss, this is what commodity is according to whatever the financial act of this country, of India or America, you see part of it is not true, right? Same goes with security, right? Now there's something called the Howey test. Google it up. Some of you already, I think, anybody who's done some amount of finance or economics will understand this. And according to the Howey test in the securities part, what is a Howey test? It's a very old test, and it's defined in laws in the US. It says that if a asset is a security, if investors invest money in that with reasonable expectation of profit derived from the managerial efforts of others, anything can be called a security in financial terms, in legal terms, if investors, if say you and me or these 80 people that have gathered today, we invest our money in this particular token with reasonable expectation of profits derived from the managerial efforts of others. Now, does Ethereum fit into it? Probably yes, probably not. I don't know. My argument is there is this, how do validators fit into this, right? So it's still not clear, right? Now, according to the United States government and parts of the government here also in India, they want to define Ethereum and all these other coins as securities. They are saying that Ethereum is a security because investors are investing money in Ethereum with the expectation of profits, right? Based on the efforts of others. And who is this others? Nobody knows. No, that's not defined. Is the others equal to the validators on the Ethereum network? Is the others equal to you and me who are just regular investors who just buy and sell? That is not clear. But there's an argument against that also, right? Now, if you have to differentiate, say, between Bitcoin and Ethereum, and if you compare it to all the ICOs that happened back in 16, 17, Bitcoin was decentralized, right? And even Ethereum to a bit is decentralized, right? With no managers in play. While many other cryptos were built to solve a specific problem, but were managed by a corporation. So Bitcoin can never be a security because nobody knows their founders. Nobody knows whether there is a corporation in place, right? But Ethereum, the more I read into it, I think fundamentally it will end up being a security. And if that happens, it will hit the price very bad. And then the decision is going to come this year from the United States. And mostly what happened, they make some laws, the rest of the world follows, right? Then there is another definition of commodity. Indian government, in most of my chats with the larger Indian government and not officially, they're all unofficial talks with bureaucrats and folks. And their version is, yeah, I think some of these tokens and coins are like commodities, right? Now, what is commodities, right? It's like a kind of a money between users. Like the function is very similar to gold, right? And that's when, if you would have noticed in the last 6 years, especially pro-crypto influencers in Europe and America and even India to a bit, have pushed the idea of Bitcoin to be the gold. That's how the entire argument of Bitcoin to boss is like digital gold comes along and all of that, right? Now, if you look at what the commodities, there is a Commodities Futures and Trade Commission in the US, which was stated in 2015 that cryptos are commodities, right? Because each of it is used in some amount of commerce, right? That is interchangeable with other commodities of the same type. This is how they have said it, right? Now, there is an argument against that also. There are a lot of tokens and coins. I'm not going to name some of them. Like, what is a commodity? Like corn, you eat a corn. Corn is a commodity, right? Because humans and say livestock eat corn, right? Steel is a commodity, right? Because it is an important component to build something else. The argument here comes is, what is the what value inherently does most of the other tokens have, right? So that argument is not formed. So hence it will go against a lot, like commodity definition completely goes against pump and dump schemes like Shiba and even Dodge and stuff like that, right? There's one more argument, which I don't think it's happening in India, it's happening across the world, is are cryptocurrencies, first of all, it's not going to be a currency anytime soon in countries like India. For sure. India, I don't think it's going to happen in ages. It's never going to happen. It might. There is a debate which I'm not written in. There's a debate in India which they're also saying crypto can be termed as a crypto can be termed as money. Now, in a lot of definitions, money and currency are not the same things, right? So they're saying crypto can also be like money, but not like currency. So this is these are the arguments that most of these folks are going for, right? The last one is property. This majorly has been a debate in the United States, jahan par kafi lawmakers, a lot of lawmakers, a lot of lobbyists and advocacy people like us, they have pushed the idea of can Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other tokens in the market, are they like property? Now, why property? Like you can declare something as property as a property for tax purposes, right? Like so it's a good news. It's a good thing if some of these tokens are actually declared as property, like Bitcoin can be a property, because then it opens up for investors, for long-term investors, right? It can be investment. So cryptos can be invested on a tax deferred basis with retirement and all of that. Because property can be defined as like property, something which can be defined. You can define Bitcoin and Ethereum. It can be identified by third parties. Third parties over here are validators of the network, right? And they're capable of assumption and stuff like that. The only argument is there is massive taxation on stuff like that, and you get into long-term and short-term capital gains, which anyway is going to happen. It's happening in India, but that's one of the arguments, right? Now, why does all of these things matter? Now, all of these things does matter because right now the problem in the larger governments is nobody has been able to define what the heck is a token. till today, till now, right now, there is no proper definition of crypto anywhere in the world from any government. And why is this important? Because once these discussions become a part of a bill, the bill becomes a law in countries like us, then you're gone. So that's why the fight is important. That's why what some of us are doing is very important. We're trying to argue, we're trying to sit with as many economists as possible, as many people who understand finance for the last 60 or 70 years, and trying to somehow try and do a middle ground where we're trying to define ki boss hai kya? How do you even bloody define crypto? On what jurisdiction does it come under, right? Second problem in public policy in crypto today, which pains me and practically makes me angry, is what is happening is most governments are trying to take the easier way out, which is boss, apne paas laws bana hua hai. We already have laws. We have already written the constitution. We already have the penal code. You might be a new technology. You might be internet, but I don't care. I will put you under the same laws, right? So unlike what we saw with the drone laws in India, which got completely reversed in 6 months' time, which is unheard of in our country. Unlike what we have seen with the Data Privacy Act, which is, I think it's not become an act. It is still being discussed. That kind of concentrated effort has not happened yet. We still don't have a draft bill. We have versions of the draft bill, but we still don't have the draft bill, mostly in India. So that's one of the problems. Third is, this is a problem which existed from the early days of the internet, and this is a problem which has existed from the time that currency, money, and things like this existed. The only thing is the larger law enforcement agencies, cybercrime, people who take care of anti-terrorism activities, money laundering. There has been numerous reports, and since I work so closely with law enforcement across the world, and there has been numerous reports of crypto being as a medium to do money laundering, terror financing, and all that. And by the way, it's true. Huh? It's not false. It has happened. I've seen those records. I've seen those stuff. It has happened. How do you stop that? People like you and me will go out and build companies. People like you and me will try and do the good thing, but shit like that happens. And when shit like this happens, the entire industry get painted wrong. And I'll bring more examples to this. This is where I want some of you, God bless, most of you become founders. I want all of you to become founders, raise money, raise capital, have employees, go big. But make sure that you don't do some stupid ass pump and dump schemes that happen. I know so many people in Bangalore who come to meetups and they give me gyan. When they come to me, I'm also an angel investor. They come to me for investments. And when I ask them what they're doing, they'll be doing some silly pump and dump NFT schemes. Stop it, boss. Because of the idiocy of few of you in the ecosystem, because of idiocies which go listed as tokens, and some of us exchanges are also to be blamed for that. We have listed tokens, and not only us, there are exchanges across the world who have listed absolutely idiotic tokens. That gives the entire industry a bad name. That slows down the kind of work that some of us are putting in and trying to help so that some law comes and an entire multi-trillion-dollar industry comes up. Ye ho raha hai, or you can't blame it. Like no due diligence. I can call out companies if I want, but there are no due diligence which are done in most web3 companies in the world. They have no idea of due diligence. They have no idea of financial risk management, and that's why you've seen the kind of crap which has come down from Terra Luna to this. It's an open war game, right? It's like a gold rush which is happening, which is continue to happen. So at this point, at the currency of crime wala point pe, the only request I have is, yaar kuch acha banao. Mehnat karo, build something credible. Please stop building pump and dump mechanism, because it hurts the entire industry. And then the government, it becomes easier for governments. They'll tell you, we told you this is these guys are doing illegal things. They're doing money laundering. Band karo inko. Right? It paints all of us in a bad picture. Please be mindful of that. The fourth is there is a heavy duty debate, which I don't completely agree with on a personal standpoint, but the more I look into it in terms of what kind of tokens or coins are being launched, I'm questioning every token out there today. Most governments have this viewpoint today, and that's what we have been really politely trying to argue with the Indian government for the last 4 years. The argument that most of the governments have is, why do you need a token? Blockchain काफी है ना, blockchain में बना लेते हैं. Why do you need a token at all? Token से क्या होगा? Coin launch करके क्या होगा? Now, the more you read white papers of companies, you'll realize some of them don't even need a token. There is no requirement of tokens in most of these companies, but you do need a token for your L1 layer players. You do need a token for most companies, right? So that's the other argument. They strongly believe that, yeah, token zarurati nahi. We have been even asked, like WazirX token क्यों launch किया आपने? क्या जरूरत है WazirX token पे, right? There have been questions like that, right? And the last is over-regulation, which is one of the biggest pain points. When this is in our experience, when most governments do not understand a new technology. When I say government, government over here is equal to bureaucrats, because bureaucrats are the one who write all these things, right? When they don't understand something, and when companies, crypto companies go all out, I'll talk about the mistakes that most Indian crypto companies have made, which has technically put some of us in the back foot, technically put the entire Web3 industry in the back foot, and some of you should not be repeating that. Because of which over-regulation has happened. Over-regulation matlab tax, this, that, put them under FEMA, put them under this. So it has happened, not only in India, it's not a siloed story in India, it's happening across the world. But the good thing is, we have progressed a lot. We have progressed a lot. I'll talk about the India story of what has happened. We have progressed a lot. Today, things are very different. Every bureaucrat today in New Delhi, in every state government sits with us. Every minister from opposition to the current political party, they sit with us. They give us time. They understand what we are saying. But is it a thing that can be solved just like product releases happen weekly? I don't think so that will happen. It will take its own time. When that will happen, I have no clue, guys. But my gut feeling is in 3 years, something might happen. Something positive might come out in 3 years, right? Because we've gone through hell in the last 4 years. Now, where is it next? Okay, then let's have top countries for crypto companies, right? Now, these are, I'm not supporting some of these countries. This is just based on pure, I would say, legal parlance, talking to lawyers and talking to I'm not a lawyer, by the way. And companies who have gone there and registered. So Estonia, for sure, Estonia makes sense. They have been one of the few countries that have always been open about crypto, anything to do blockchain. The government of Estonia runs a lot of pro crypto projects. If you want to get a visa, you can get in fact, you can get a visa to stay there also, and all of that, if you do a crypto or a government project, stuff like that. Switzerland, again, a fantastic country. I know a few new L1 and L2 blockchains which are coming up this year. They're going to launch the mainnet this year. They have officially registered their tokens in Switzerland for a certain cost, that is. And the government allows that right now. Dubai, for sure, the government is very open to what things are, but they also have laws in place. But it's one of the best places for anything to do with Web3 on planet Earth, right? Singapore has a lot of strict regulations. It has massive set of strict regulations, but I genuinely believe what Singapore is doing is right. They have a sandbox mechanism. It's like you follow, if you're a Web3 company, you want to register over there, you follow XYZ check boxes. If that, you go over there. They have regulations on advertisements and all of that. But yeah, Bahamas and Cayman, I don't want to openly suggest everybody, but in the current scenario, if you want to launch a company, Cayman and Bahamas is a safe place to go, but just be assured of this. If you are a Bahamas and a Cayman registered company, especially in Asian countries, you will be looked upon with a little bit of more questioning from whichever government or Asia country you are, right? So in all, these are some of the best countries to register your crypto business right now. Anything, whether you're building a financial application on top of any chain, or you're building I don't know, some metaverse thing, or anything at all, right? So these are some of the countries. Oh, let me just reduce this. Yeah. So this is a sort of yes, no, what these countries give you. So if you can see, Cayman Islands again is good in most of the things, but I would still suggest Singapore and Switzerland and UAE are the better places to go and register your thing. In terms of Switzerland's I think the only drawback for a pre-series A company, it would be the cost, not a pre-seed, I mean seed company also. If you're raising 1.5, say if you were raising 1.5 to 2 mil or stuff like that, I wouldn't suggest go to Switzerland, because a lot of money goes there in terms of registering and stuff like that. But the government over there, the authorities over there are very open to tokenization and stuff like that. So you can issue tokens. That's why I was saying few L1s, one L1 and one new L1 which is coming up, and couple of L2s have registered their tokens, which is going to go live this year in Switzerland. Okay, just let me. So I'll stop here for 5 minutes. If there are any questions, we'll go ahead. Otherwise, I'll go ahead. If you guys have any questions?
There are some in the chat. Let me read them for you. That's fine.
Well, I'll only get nobody's do. मैं पढ़ लेता हूँ. Can we get a copy of this slide? Yes. Give me 2 bitcoins. ऐसा थोड़ी दूंगा मैं. फ्री में नहीं दूंगा मैं कुछ. You can have 3. There are so many cryptos which is creating confusion. How we deal with it? Yeah, देखो. So many cryptos. I agree. Whoever this person is, Deepak. If you've asked this, my friend. Yeah, so many. I think it's beautiful that so many cryptos are allowed to even be live. Right, tomorrow, GrowthSchool can go and launch a token, right? कर सकते हो यार. But I'm saying GrowthSchool still does valuable things, right? They still have like their asset is this, what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to build this, right? Now, but the problem also is, I understand it's confusing. So that is why the onus lies on exchanges and decentralized exchanges, centralized and decentralized exchanges a lot. And I don't think, and I genuinely think, I'm telling you, no holds barred talk. I genuinely think they have not done most of them have not done a good job in terms of registering tokens. There is no logic to how some of these tokens were registered on most exchanges across the world. Exchanges with the top 2, top 3, top 4. वो नहीं है यार. It's a wild west. अभी हो रहा है. It's happening now because अभी regulators are after everybody. ये boss तूने कैसे register किया इसको? On what basis? So that scrutiny should, because we and I want, and I'm trying to be honest with you guys, because I want some of you to be founders and builders out of this ecosystem. And you have to be honest. Don't stop copy paste. होता क्या है कि majority of tokens एक scheme होता है. ये बहुत easy है. NFT projects ले लो, tokens project ले लो, लोग copy paste करते हैं. People copy paste white papers from here and there, copy paste the tokenomics, launch कर दिया, marketing करो, pump token, dump it on the retail, it goes away. ये होता है. Venture capitalists भी करते हैं. VCs do that. Web3 VCs, a lot of Web3 VCs have done that. So it's again the idea of what Web3 throws at some of us. It's a great opportunity, but at the end of the day, I don't think we have changed. अपन वही है, हम सब वही है. The same greed some of us have, and that's why we're doing it. Why do you think some of these guys do it? So to your question of so many cryptos out there, yes, it does create confusion, but I would genuinely say, like how I invest, and I'm not shouldn't be giving you investment advice at all. It's wrong. I'm a very old school investor. I go through. I'll give you an example. I read the Bitcoin white paper in 2015 more than, I still remember, dude, I've read that year. I read it more than 30 times. फिर भी मेरे को नहीं समझ में. I was not a computer science graduate. मुझे नहीं समझ में आता था बहुत कुछ. I went across my entire ecosystem of friends to my wife who's a computer science graduate. Like, boss, इसका मतलब क्या है? What does it even mean? Cryptography का मतलब क्या होता है? Please समझाओ मुझे. Everything, the math, everything inside it, right? So when I started understanding what it was throwing as an idea, as a proposition, then my mind was blown. I was like, shit, dude, it's a once in a generation idea. It might not be the best platform on which you can build some fast applications. You still can't build so many, you still can't build you can't build Visa on the current Bitcoin blockchain. Let's face it, let's be practical. Users ko farak nahi padega. But what I do, and to the first question, read white papers a lot, research about white paper पढ़ोगे तो समझ में आ जाएगा वो क्या है. Then don't waste time on such tokens. No, if you want to become greedy, you want to do pump and dump, which I have nothing to say. Go ahead, the law will catch up with you eventually, right? What will the loss in India does not adopt crypto? The loss in India is what I think it's very similar to what India faced what losses India faced. Okay, let me be actually honest here. Crypto is just one of the, because some of us are involved in crypto and Web3, हमें लगता है यार law बनना ही चाहिए. It's the most important thing according to me. I'm in this business. See, I'm in this business of Web3. My business is going down, so I will advocate. I will lobby hard कि boss India में crypto का अच्छा law होना चाहिए, favorable laws होना चाहिए, zero taxation होना चाहिए. That's stupid. That's naive. That's stupid. That is immature if some of us do that. And that's how the kind of advocacy which has happened in India so far, because people had no idea. Why I'm saying this is, it's a big country. There are a lot of important things in this country. There are a lot of important things which are important than crypto in India today. Crypto is just one of the items for the government of India. And it took us also some time to understand that, guys, we told this to ourselves. We told ourselves, hello, crypto industry, shut up. This is one of the important items of the government of India. Let's space it out with the government. So in terms of your question, what would be the loss? Yeah, loss already ho raha hai, kafi ho raha hai. In my personal capacity, it pains me to say this. These are people that I've grown up with in the last 6 years in this industry in India. Left, right, center, kids have gone outside, registered their companies outside, raised raised funds outside of India. So yeah, देश को कोई फायदा नहीं हो रहा. I'm still in India because I still believe in this country. This is my country. I still believe good things can happen. थोड़ा fight लगता है, थोड़ा you'll get frustrated fighting all these things, but if you love this country, you want to do something better, and India still is in a much better position. If you travel across the world, you'll realize the kind of shit we are doing in fintech is it's mad. UPI is just next level thing what these guys have created. So there are some great things which has happened, but in terms of loss, we have lost a lot of companies. They've all gone outside. The money has moved outside. What I'm trying to tell you is those investments have not come to India. Those investments have gone out of India, right? So that's one thing. The third is till cryptos become or find a way to stabilize, the acceptance and adoption is going to be a challenge which is working against the blockchain and its power to democratize. This question is answer hai. Till cryptos become find a way to stabilize, the acceptance and adoption is going to be a challenge. Okay. Working on I have a query about Singapore and Dubai government making Web3 companies grants. Can I answer this on a personal note? Or what I can do is, this is Namrata. What I will do, Namrata, I'll leave my email ID. What I will do is for Dubai and Singapore, I will, whoever wants to launch their company now in Dubai and Singapore, I will introduce you guys directly to the governments and the lawyers who do that for a living, and you guys can take it forward with them. Copy of the slide, please. हाँ, ले लो, मतलब GrowthSchool के पास होगा. Are these top countries the ones for registering the tokens or for the operations of these companies? Both registering for tokens as for the operations of these companies. Okay, it's very philosophical now. Do we have to move to that country to set up business there? Yes, you need to have a bank account there. You need to have like a company address, boss. You have to do that, but you can still stay in India and run the company. So many of my good friends still stay out of Bangalore and run global Web3 companies, right? I won't take names. Do we still pay taxes in India? If you are doing business within India, you will still have to pay taxes. But if you're taking money in terms of remittance coming into the country, boss, you have to furnish it to the bank. That's that. So I'll move on. I hope it helped. Okay. Just pull out my notes. If I'm going too fast, let me know, because I have a habit to doing this. 1 second. I'll just go forward. Oh yeah. Okay, this is a little legal part. I don't want to confuse you with the legal part, but this is also important. This we have jotted down after talking to as many as 50 to 60 lawyers from across the world, policy people, economists, and we realized, yeah, what is the safest way to do a crypto company? Again, this is all out for debate. This is not the law. This is our version of what we think is the right way for somebody to go forward. None of us are, I'm not a lawyer. I've just learned it over the years because we had to do it. So the first stage, if you're trying to build a Web3 company meaning anything to do with on-chain, right? Whether it is decentralized or not, it's a secondary debate. Most crypto companies are not decentralized today. Also, they claim to be. So start the crypto project and the dev lab company registration. So what I mean, just give me a second. Just give me a second. So every decentralized company in Web3, in crypto, starts with a centralized development, whether you like it or not. Oh, thesis and ideology is one side. Let's talk company building and actual business building, for which most of you have to hire people, right? Abhi kisko hire karega? If you're just a business guy, if you're not a techie, you will hire some other techies also, right? You'll hire engineers, you probably rent an office, you'll start paying for the software stack subscriptions that you need to do this, right? To create a working environment for software engineers. In addition, from the beginning of the project, founders have to ensure what else, which I've seen a lot of crypto founders don't do that. I really don't know why. But if you are building something really unique on the tech architecture in Web3 on any, whether you're doing it on Filecoin or whether you're trying to do something like Lens protocol, which I really think is damn cool what they've done, or Starkweb for that matter, apna IP register karo, boss. If it is unique, register that goddamn thing as an intellectual property in some country. Apna company ka IP register karo kahin par. Bahut important hai. If it's unique, do that. To a lot of large Web2 internet giants have done that. वो इतने intellectual property, for so many little inventions they used to file for all these things is incredible, right? Anyway, so what you need to do is usually register as somewhere like if you have raised funds. Singapore is easy. Singapore is quicker to register, but just remember Singapore. I would suggest Singapore because it has structured laws in place, and also as a country, it has great relationships with India. In case your company goes through some shit, it still has great relationships with our country and RBI and all the other departments. So has Dubai. Dubai has great relations with Indian government. So I've heard this argument because I've seen good and bad founders. I've seen some shady founders also in this business, who go to Dubai and say, oh, I will settle down in Dubai after doing some pump and dump scheme in India. That's bullshit, boss. You're in Dubai. If the Indian government wants, some of the laws of the Indian government, by the way, some of the penal code laws are applicable in some courts over there. If you're thinking you can escape that, they'll pick you up from there and bring back to India. If you're trying to do something illegal in crypto, there are a lot of illegal stuff that goes on in crypto, right? Because no laws, so wild west, right? So anyway, so first up, don't think about the first step that I've written over here. Agar aapke paas idea hai, first that you need to do, which I genuinely believe, and this comes from because we've built businesses over the years, which are worth billions today, touch wood. What you really need to do is the availability of grants are there. This I'm just shifting a little bit. I'll take 10 seconds out of this. Just because, abhi dekho, last 3 saal mein kya hota? Grants were available left, right, center. Every chain was giving grants. Nobody was even asking a question. Boss, tum le lo 30K, 40K grants. They can do whatever bullshit you want to do, which is okay. We all know why the people were doing that. But what you also need to do, if you're trying to build something on Web3, there is no one person who understands everything in crypto. That's bullshit. If somebody is giving you that, call them out. What you need to do is decide your idea, thesis hai tumhara, then you decide your thesis, you create your thesis, then you go out and talk to users. There are not many users. Don't compare Web2 internet users. Web2 internet users is not equal to Web3 internet. You only have so many on-chain users today. These wallets and users will increase over the years. That's how it happens, right? Adoption hoga. But whatever it is there, talk to users. At least make 50 to 60 user calls before you launch your own company, right? If you're not doing that, then yaar, tum wahi stupid valuation game khel rahe ho. Khelte jao. At least I don't believe in that. Build businesses, build proper businesses, right? Dhanda chalta hai. So first do that, and then when you're able to raise grants and raise funds and all of that, at that point of time, go register your company. Do it in, I would say, naye ho India mein, abhi shuru kar rahe ho, Dubai, Singapore, close your eyes and do it. If you have more funds, if you're lucky to raise 2 million sorts at seed, which people are doing, and our 6 years ago when we were raising money from Y Combinator for our company, we used to get under 200K, even less than that, right, at the seed level. So things have changed. I'm really happy for the environment today that we get so much of deployed capital at seed stage. Agar hai, paisa hai, to then kuch bada kar rahe ho, if you're doing some like chain agnostic platform or stuff like that, then if you have the funds, I would suggest close your eyes and go to Switzerland. But if you have limited amount of money, limited amount of time, Singapore should be a place to go. But this is my suggestion. This is based on our understanding. You're free to talk to your lawyers and do the way you want, right? Anyway, so this is the first thing, you hire people, you collect your IP, you're paying salaries and stuff like that. So you have to register it somewhere, right? And then register the IP somewhere. Then the second thing. Just 1 second. Okay, then start of early stage fundraising and registration of a token company. See, once the how do I put it? Once the Web3 crypto has reached the proof of concept stage, the proof of concept stage of the DApp or whatever, you begin to fundraise. At this stage, you're not issuing tokens right, but investors who do plan to invest will be interested in receiving tokens for their investment in the future, right? So at the same time, give early stage of the project, investors understand that the token issuance plans and the tokenomics model of the project might change in the future, right? Hence, additional guarantee change. Hence, you need an additional guarantee for their investment. So they count on receiving shares for this project, right? Community, right? So this approach of investors in the early stages of fundraising requires founders to register a separate company that will sign. Again, this is, you want to do it. Not hard and fast rule. This is something we believe in. Some of us have done it, so it's always safer. So this approach for investors in early stages of fundraising requires founders to register a separate company that separate company will sign investment documents and issue tokens in the future, right? Which is called a token company, right? Now, most projects need a separate company at this stage, primarily according to us, because this company must be registered in a jurisdiction This second company, तुम्हारा पहला कंपनी तो तुम्हारा टेक कंपनी है जो ये प्रोडक्ट बना रही है, टोकन इश्यूएंस के लिए कंपनी बनाओ. But why does it have to be a second company? Because this second company will be registered in a jurisdiction that is suitable and acceptable for investments. Understand? That's when these Bahamas and the Cayman Islands or the Switzerlands of the world come into play, right? Like I know one L1 layer company which is going to launch their token this year. They have registered their IP in more than 7 countries of the world. अभी क्या जरूरत उनको करने का? पैसा है उनके पास, they have money, that's why they're doing it. That's why I'm saying it's not advisable for all of you. At seed stage, even pre-series stage, तेरे पास नहीं है पैसा उतना. You have to deploy money for your salaries and all the stuff. But if you've raised that amount of capital, if you have your own money, if you want to deploy, then do it. Then go for multiple countries, right? And why the second company is important? Because this jurisdiction must also have some special, regulations for token issuance to avoid some sort of regulatory barrier, right? That's why one of my suggestions to most founders today is इंडिया में टोकन लॉन्च मत करो अभी. इंडिया में आप कंपनी बनाओ, क्योंकि अभी रेगुलेटरी क्लैरिटी नहीं है. तो build a company in India, have the dev team in India, whatever. You might have customers in India also. India has great crypto native customers. But token don't issue it in India within the boundary of this country. Token issuance आप बाहर करो. इंडिया में करोगे, there are no laws in place. So just to be in the safer side, अभी token issuance इंडिया में मत करो as a company. Token करना है तो बाहर चलना, which is the biggest pain point of all Web3 companies, if you ask me. This entire presentation can be a single slide, and that is India में token issue करना बहुत difficult है. You will face problems, right? I can tell you offline all of that, not recorded. Okay. Then you have launching the product and preparing necessary legal documents. After you attract investments, तुम्हारा second company भी register हो गया, and you're trying to bring that DApp, your Web3 DApp, to a new stage of development. A lot of founders that we've seen, they face the question of how to correctly launch their product on the market and how to attract users legally, right? Now the complexity, this entire process is bloody complex, right? So dApps are smart contracts, they're virtually and completely autonomously live, right? Operate in the blockchain network. At the same time, to enable users of these dApps to interact with them, what these founders must develop interfaces like mobile apps, browser plugins, and stuff like that, right? Currently, the mobile play of most crypto apps is it's shit, if you ask me, right? And it is pretty strange because abhi 5G is going to get commercially rolled out in this country, right? What do you expect is going to happen? People are going to buy laptops or tablets. Go check out the data of how many laptops and tablets were sold compared to smartphones. So I do not see great mobile applications for cryptos being built. Wo onboarding nahi ho raha. And I still believe APAC is a gold mine of a crypto market, and nobody, not a single company, the only companies who have done it really well are people who are exchanges, which I understand. Binance has done a great job. WazirX has done a great job in India. Coinbase has done a great job. And some other companies whose onboarding has been great, right? Now, in this stage, this particular stage number 3, your founders need to analyze the business model of their dApp. Why? अब तुम लोग पूछे क्या जरूरत है Aritra? मैं टोकन लॉन्च करके करूंगा रिटेल पे डंप, राइट? नहीं, मत करो यार. Why is it important? Because you have to do it to obtain necessary licenses for dApp operations. अब dApps कहाँ register करोगे? Decentralized applications कहाँ register करोगे? उसके लिए. Then second, you have to ensure that all the details of the dApp are properly reflected in terms and conditions. And I can bet my life on this. 90% of crypto companies terms and conditions में उसका dApp, the decentralized apps के details कुछ नहीं लिखा होता. They just talk they'll come on Twitter spaces, talk grand, this, that, and all of that. And most of them are utter rubbish. So ye aap mat karo. The banking industry, the financial industry has taken a lot of time to come to a point where things have changed for the better in the world. Proper due diligence measures hai. But aap ye mat karo, right? Then the last one, I'll just change 1 second. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Okay, there are 3 steps. Okay. Then the next part is how will Web3 companies shape global governance? It's a very small part. I don't want to spend much time into it. One of the reasons the governments have still, I'm not saying governments will deploy new people every year. They will hire new people just because a new industry like crypto has come up. They will hire new people just to understand ki kya chal raha hai crypto mein. Aisa nahi hota yaar. As I said, crypto is one of the items of discussion for every government. It's not the most important discussion. So how will Web3 help shape global governance? Why I believe this is a very, very important thing. And this is what some really good chains are actually trying to do it. And some of the founders that I talk to, like founders who own L1 layer companies, there are very few public goods companies which are coming up. Now look at the grants that Gitcoin gives you, right? Look at the companies which are projects which are under the Gitcoin grants, right? So the public good companies have to come up. Can you introduce ZKP rollups to redo elections? Can you do a DAO approach for a state government in India, for a corporation, basically under state governments of city corporations, right? Can a city corporation be a DAO? Can Web3 be used for, I don't know, any public good? Can it be used for climate change? I mean, the climate change is a different topic. So stuff like that. So and that's one that debate has finally started to happen, and there are some really good companies out of India which are doing that. When I say some, it's literally 3 companies which are trying to do some good public good companies. Second is, what most of you need to understand is crypto Web3 is no more a tech discussion within governments. It's a geopolitical discussion. And that will be strengthened if some of you actually build companies and come and take part with us in these discussions with various governments. Because the idea today is, tomorrow, say in a hypothetical situation, if India gets sanctioned by some foreign country and the sanction comes on India and like, boss, aap ye nahi kar paoge. Like a lot of sanction used to come on India in the early 90s. I hope you know this. Then if you do not have your indigenous technology, then what do you do? That's where Web3 plays a monumental role in politics. Today we have UPI. कहाँ है? दुनिया में किसी के पास UPI नहीं है. So we can do a lot of stuff, but the entire banking ecosystem works on Shift, the Shift protocol, right? Abhi, I don't know. You can change Shift. I mean, technologically it's possible. Operation-wise also possible. Take some time, but this is why I believe companies which are built on the lines of national security, crypto companies, Web3 products which are built on the lines of state, how bureaucracy functions, to redo elections, to redo how parties receive funds, or how national security projects function. If you can, or the financial architecture, basically, if some of you can build companies, I'm not saying this is the way you should go about life, but if Web3 companies, what will happen eventually is large products in crypto will be made, which will benefit just governments. And whichever country takes the lead in that will be a powerful nation in the next 10 years. Because look at America and the kind, all the big tech companies, although refugees have only gone there and built all those tech companies, but all the major tech economy comes out of there, right? So India में भी होना चाहिए. Apart from the services economy, ये India में भी होना चाहिए. And it's happening. Some countries are finally realizing, but these are not the current set of top G7 or G10 countries. These are smaller economies which are realizing, shit, it's a new technology. If I can build an entire new architecture on top of it, whatever, it can be financial apps, defense apps, whatever. If I can redo economical architecture based on crypto, maybe I become more powerful. I am not dependent on other countries, right? Stuff like that. Cross-border trade, remittance. Remittance is a great use case. Although it's difficult to do remittance in India and crypto. But if I don't know how many of you have transferred more than 1 crore or 2 crore on a given day's time on remittance, like say 2 crores worth of US dollars, which comes into India. Sometimes it takes 7-8 days for businesses to do that, man. In crypto, it happens in split second. UPI can also happen in UPI, and UPI is doing multiple country collaboration. So stuff like that. Then this is the same thing. I mean, the Web3 public goods thing. Then Web3, the India story. All right, I'll tell you the India story which has happened. It's like a little movie which happened with us. So there were crypto companies in India, but majorly, just like anything, crypto companies in India started with exchanges. I mean, the ones who got the limelight. You had the Zeppays of the world, the Uno coins of the world, fantastic people who tried to build good companies. But 2018 में क्या हुआ? 2016-17 से धीरे-धीरे there was a lot of anger from the government, a lot of questioning from the government कि boss की क्या चल रहा है? What rubbish is this happening, right? And eventually in 2018, the RBI said कि boss बंद करो इसको, बहुत हो गया, right? And there was a ban. Companies closed down overnight. So some of them were some of my closest friends. They overnight closed their companies. When I say overnight, 14 days, they shut shop in India. They all shifted base to Singapore, and some of them have not even come back to India. They've never come to India after that. But then few people like us we decided to build a company. WazirX was started at that point of time. I was not part of the initial gang, but the initial did it. And slowly, what happened? We started interacting with the government of India. We started interacting with the Prime Minister's office. We started interacting with the RBI. We started interacting with bureaucrats. And then we got lawyers on board. Then we got legal firms on board. And eventually we fought off the RBI's ban decision in the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court historically, in a judgment, the Justice Rohinter's judgment said that कि boss आप ban नहीं कर सकते हो crypto. कैसे करोगे? कोई चीज जो exist ही नहीं करते, तो कैसे ban करोगे? तो पहले laws इसके ऊपर, right? that was a pivotal moment because the industry changed. Today you have not WazirX, you have other exchanges who have been funded more than 130 million dollars. The money has come from outside. Those fundings have come to India, right? These people employ more than 200 to 300 people per team. I know an exchange in India which employs more than 500 people. There are jobs which are being created, right? The onslaught of other protocols started coming to India after that. They saw there is some, even though there is fight in India, there was some value which was happening in India and stuff like that, right? But then there were statements made in the government. We started interacting with the government day in and day out. We started, one of the things we majorly did last year, which I would very proudly say, was a lot of the exchanges were run by people who wanted to build great products. But then, yeah, when you're starting to build a business, you realize there are a lot of other elements of a business you have to take care of. And one of them being, there were a lot of rubbish advertisements which were put out in the media, right? Ki Bitcoin le lo, ₹1 ye itna paisa daloge to itna crypto mil jayega, and stuff like that, which I think was absolutely childish, immature by the marketing teams of all those companies. And it's absolutely dumb that some of the companies did shit like that. And even until last December, there were exchanges out of Bangalore who were putting out ads in the media. And then they were just telling people, greed, oh, just come buy this, which I think is stupid in the larger context of crypto policy in India. They did not understand, they did not abide by, even though we formed a committee where we said, please don't do shit like this. But some companies did that. Now, what it did was it put us in the backseat. Every time we used to go to the government in those closed chambers, they used to ask us one thing. I still remember, I won't take the name of the minister, but there was this joint parliamentary committee meeting where a minister comes and he holds up a paper cutting, like, what kind of ad is this on the front page of a business newspaper? Abhi dekho, this mistake was made by one exchange and one product on-chain company, but we all had to face the brunt for that. So it's not only the government, but also I think as an industry, we have, and the people who are leading this industry in various countries have been pretty immature when it comes to ideating and forwarding, and propagating the idea of Web3 in crypto. But we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. We're all learning. So all these things were happening. Last year, there was a lot of talk on the bill coming, crypto bill aayega. Eventually, kuch aaya nahi. And then unfortunately, 2022 has not been very, very great in the India crypto story, because after the taxation hit, the volumes of exchanges who were doing $500 to $600 million a day worth of volumes in India, it has gone down to as low as $15 to $20 million in just 4 months' time. People have left companies. There are a lot of larger ecosystem product companies who left India completely. TDS impacted massively on our numbers. So again, this happened in 2018, right? It has happened again. But I see the larger fact. Nobody knew that we'll win the court case, right? Nobody knew there would be so much amount of money invested into India, into crypto companies. It will happen again. I'm guessing things will change till the Bitcoin halving happens in 24, 25. But that's the India story so far. But what I'm really happy is what has happened is a lot of protocols have invested money in India. Even today, before this, we were talking to a protocol who wanted to launch in India. Ki mujhe ye karna hai. I want to do more activities on hiring more developers, on spreading the crypto ecosystem out of India. So things are good. It's going to be a very tough fight this year for businesses in India and crypto businesses, because revenue-wise, it's really down for most of them. But listen, we all started this in 2018 when every company in crypto was closing shutters and they were going outside the country. So never say never. It's a fight that we have fought. We have had very little wins, but we'll have more win, and hopefully some sort of law clarification comes, right? That's the India story. Now, what the Indian regulators are looking at. Okay. Sabse pehle to money laundering, which I think I adhered to at the very beginning of the presentation. Are people doing money laundering using crypto? Are people not paying taxes doing crypto? Now, let's not get into a debate like how much tax you should pay at that and all. I'm not going there. But money laundering, has it happened in terms of my interactions with law enforcement folks who run the country? And when I say law enforcement, these are the very top 4 law enforcement gentlemen who run the country in terms of LEA. There have been cases of money laundering which has happened. It has been reported. Exchanges have been very due diligent. They have opened up and given information to the government. This has happened. This is wrong. But yaar, ye mat karo. That's why it brings me to the point of pump and dump schemes. Mat karo yaar. Ye stupid pump and dump schemes mat karo, tokens or NFT mein yaar. It gives the entire industry a bad name. Just stop. I mean, I know it's human nature. You guys, some of you are greedy. It's human nature. We are greedy. The moment we see a wild west platform like this, open karenge. It disgusts me that even in we do meet in Bangalore every day. There's a meetup. I go there and I meet some of every meetup will have at least 4 pump and dump kids over there doing shit. Mat karo yaar wo sab. And even say no to VCs who are saying okay to shit like that, right? Because it gives the entire industry a bad name. Because understand this is you're dealing with people's money. Mat karo. Don't dump on retail. Please don't do that. Second is tax evasion. Although I personally have not seen any use cases beyond a point of people actually using it to evade taxes in India, but that's always a concern. The way the government is structured, the India has capital controls. If you understand what capital controls are, it's not like America, right? हमारे यहाँ कुछ और rules है, which I believe in a way is right because sometimes it helps so that companies can't take you for a ride. Then drafting crypto into current laws. This for me is the biggest challenge of policy. This is where I want some of you. I think I don't know what's the exact set of the crowd today is, but some of you, if you're actively building companies, of if you've already raised money, you've already built a sizable product, please come. We have a lobbying body, we have an advocacy body where some of the largest exchanges from the world, we come together, largest crypto web3 companies, non-exchange companies, we work together. We produce papers that we give to the government. We meet the government every week. We tell them dekho ye naya hua and all of that. I'm open. If you're ready, do that. Because why? The drafting of crypto and the terminology and the ideology of Web3 has, that transition has not happened. I'll be very honest, wo nahi hua, and there's still a lot of discussions happening. Then you have national security concerns, which is absolutely correct and right of them to ask, like, is crypto used as a tool to go against India? Now, has that happened? I've not seen that personally. I've talked to intelligence folks in the intelligence community in India. In my like I've never seen something like that happen, but they might have happened. And last is, if you have a social media account, if you are connected to your local MP, if you're in India, that is, I don't know, it might be somewhere else. It doesn't matter actually. If you're whatever, you're in Vietnam, you're in South Korea, if you have a local member of parliament or local leader, go talk to them and explain to them कि boss देखो मैं कुछ बना रहा हूँ, NFT में कुछ बना रहा हूँ, metaverse में बना रहा हूँ, जो भी बना रहे हो यार आप. I'm trying to say redo Tally. Say there are a lot of companies which are trying to redo accounting softwares on chain, right? मैं ये बना रहा हूँ. This is going to help the country in this way. Go talk to them because your representative will go and talk to the main guy in the capital of that country, whichever country some of you are, right? So that is very important. Do that if you are building. You don't have to build public good companies, right? Then the last couple of last slides I think I have. This, if you, I don't know how many of you read into history, but देखो यार ऐसे चीज पहले भी हुआ है. And the reason I've given you these two pictures, I don't know how many of you read history and paintings. So this is a reference from what happened during the Renaissance period and the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages in Europe. And that fascinates me because I think the same thing is happening right now. History is repeating itself. What happened during the Dark Ages, right? People died, there were diseases, there were horrific centralization of, like the entire idea was centralization. You could not even reprint the Bible for God's sake those days, right? Then two inventions happened which completely changed the way the world works today. One was I think the double entry bookkeeping or something like that in finance, which was invented at that point of time. That changed the way things work. And what happened was very similar to what's happening right now, which is very fascinating. Today, you have people, I'm a bad example because we had already built successful companies in Web2. There are people who have come from nowhere. I know kids in Bangalore and Dubai who have come from villages in India, and they have raised capital and they've built a Web3 company. They're successfully setting down in another country, right? And these people who have built companies will only go bigger, right? They'll only keep going up the ladder. And they become so important that they play a role in the laws and policy making in 20 years' time. Same thing happened when the transition was happening from the Dark Ages to the Renaissance period. There were families, the printing press, the second biggest invention that happened at that point of time is printing press. So think of the double entry bookkeeping thing as what blockchain, think of it as similar invention as blockchain, right? And the printing press, which happened at that point of time, and the world changed because of that. The main church in most of the European countries, they were against the idea of reprinting the Bible. Ki Bible aap reprint nahi kar sakte ho. Kaise kar sakte ho yaar? Ye ek hi copy hoga, right? Bible started getting reprinted and the entire game changed. What I'm trying to say is this in a way was decentralization hundreds of years ago, hundreds and 200s of years ago, because information became decentralized because of the printing press. Same shit is happening today. It took some time, and we all know the kind of mad inventions which happened during the Renaissance period, right? Same thing happened when the steam engines were invented. What, 90 years, odd years ago? I'm bad with the numbers. There were articles on front pages of some of the most famous newspapers. Google kar lo yaar, mil jayega. Where they said, "Yaar, steam engine. No, people have died during these experiments. Why do we need steam engines?" Because people think like that. Any new technology, when it comes, the government, the people, you and me, we also get like, "Oh, kahan se aa gaya ye tech yaar? This is not going to change anything." People were sitting on commercial airplanes at one point of time. Can you believe that? And now it's become a necessity, right? Encryption. Mr. Anderson Horowitz, during his, I think his first or second company, they did a lot of stuff on encryption, right? And you could not build commercial companies in the United States in the early 90s on PGP software and encryption. आपको jail हो जाता. There were laws which would put you in jail for using these encryption tech. सोचो. And now today you are using things like Telegram and Signal on your phone as messaging apps, which has encryption at the back. Things change. It does take time, but this is the time when leaders are born. And I genuinely mean that. People like, there are some great people in India from in the Web3 industry in India. What Sandeep has done with Polygon, is put India, I genuinely believe he has put India on the global map with what he has done, what Nischal has done with the guts that he had to build a P2P platform, exchange platform. You need leaders. You will get called out at this point if you're trying to build a Web3 company. लोग आपको बोलेंगे क्या बना रहे हो यार, मत बनाओ. Government will come, government will question you, tax authorities will question you. Hoga, but stay strong, because this is also a bear market. WazirX was built in the bear market. A lot of great companies. DappRadar was built in the bear market. This is the time when you build crypto and Web3 companies. Do not get drowned into the idea of, oh, is it decentralized and all. Build a good business that matters. अब धंधा बनाओगे तो चलेगा. अब बुलशिट करोगे, बुलशिट मार्केटिंग करोगे अपने धंधे के ऊपर, यू विल गेट कॉल्ड आउट. और ये कम्युनिटी बहुत स्ट्रांग है. आप गंदगी करोगे तो हम सबको मालूम चल जाएगा कौन सा पंप एंड डंप स्कीम है, कौन सा नहीं है. टुडे I meet 19-year-old fund. Last Saturday I was at a house party somewhere. I met this kid who was building a cybersecurity company in crypto, on-chain cybersecurity analysis. He had the guts to tell me on my face, I rejected this, and this I can't take the name of the venture capitalist. That venture capitalist is probably the most powerful VC firm in planet Earth today. I was like, are you mad? People are dying to even get 100K from them. Why are you really refusing them? I said, no, that person does not understand crypto at all. I'm like, wow. So this is the generation we are in life today. So this is the renaissance for India. You had UPI from Web2. You had Polygon and people like WazirX and Web3, and our friends at DCX, Kuber, Biconomy, fantastic company. Speron is a fantastic company. It's a great competitor to AWS and Gang. So yeah, policy hote rahega, but this is the time some of you become leaders, and please come sit with us in these rooms with these bureaucrats. अब बाहर से ट्विटर पे मत जाओ. ट्विटर पे जाके, एक तो इंडिया का प्रॉब्लम है, इंडिया को लगता है ट्विटर पे कुछ बोल दूंगा सॉल्व हो जाएगा. So called these wannabe influencers who are there in crypto, most of the crypto influencers in India are dumb idiots. They go on Twitter, they tweet about government को ये करना चाहिए, government को वो करना चाहिए. Not one of them have the guts to sit with us and do these debates with the government of India. नहीं करेंगे ना. They're weak. They're silly, weak humans. तो आप वैसे मत बनो. You believe, if you genuinely believe this is the internet, this is the internet breaking point for India. If you genuinely believe billion-dollar companies बन सकती है, yes, problems है. Yes, you will face a lot of blockages from the government. हमने भी तो बनाया यार, billion-dollar business बनाया without any investment. बनाया ना हमने. तो आप भी बना सकते हो. Policy will happen, but what I want from folks like you is to learn, because आप just company मत सोचो. करो बाहर register. Web2 internet companies are also registered outside. Our division is in India. उस सब में मत फंसो. I still believe law and policy do not have the skin in the game. I still believe, although I do that for a living. My bread and butter runs through this. But if people like us, who are founders, who build companies, we have moved from there so that this ecosystem develops. So aap become a part, even if you're not doing these meetings with us, with our advocacy bodies, whatever city you are in India or other parts of the world, I don't know how many of your other parts of the world here, go talk to your local representative. Go make it a point to tell them, give them copies on this is what my version of my company Web3, this is why Web3 is important. Showcase them ideas like this is equal to jobs, this is equal to revenue, this is equal to the ecosystem building up. And it's a fight. Don't chicken out, because the best of the best don't chicken out, and they remain. So I'll end it here.
Oh, Aritra, I don't know if you noticed, Bangalore has started raining again.
Dude, I'm not in Bangalore. I just came out of Bangalore today.
I think throughout the point when we reached to the point of story of India, I think just when I saw it started raining, I think a perfect representation of the thing that we're discussing. And one thing, you know, that you mentioned, builders. So we ran this builder strike program for grants,
Yes,
and I was amazed to see 69 registrations just this week.
Beautiful. Again, a free plug, although Pareen and Raghu doesn't pay a single penny to me for doing this, but Pareen and Raghu run Builders Tribe, the one that Om is talking about. They are some of the, for me, they are the nicest people in the ecosystem, and they know the entire crypto and Web3 ecosystem in and out. If you are building a crypto company, shameless plug कर रहा हूँ. Again, Pareen has not forced me to tell you guys this. अगर आप crypto Web3 company बना रहे हो, Pareen भाई से बात करो, Raghu भाई से बात करो. They are darlings of the world. They're genuinely nice people. Raghu especially, Raghu understands the tech very well, and he's a crypto OG, right? So उनके साथ काम करो. हो गया. Shameless plug done. So.
Perfect. We'll just take few questions probably done in the chat.
Yeah.
How is TDS impacting gas fees and how to optimize?
Is it a question or is a slap on my face? Like the hidden slap on my face. क्या बकवास कर रहा आदमी? यार देखो यार ऐसा है. TDS has slashed the revenues of every crypto company in half. Half भी गलत बोल रहा हूँ. Actually, I'll tell you the numbers. बढ़िया. रुक बताता हूँ मैं numbers बता रहा हूँ. We were doing, WazirX was doing, WazirX example देके बता रहा हूँ so that you understand, because we had the largest volumes of any crypto company in India in terms of profits and all. हम weekly $1 billion से भी ज़्यादा volume करते थे November, December में. यार TDS आने के बाद that has gone down to $7 or $8 million a day. अब मैच कर लो आप 1 billion से 7 million कितना कम होता है अब लगा लो. Because हुआ ये है कि TDS और 30% tax, it's a mix of factors. Arbitrage trading, day trading ये सब कम हो गया. And the third aspect, more than TDS, actually I forgot to mention this point. इंडिया में और एक बड़ा प्रॉब्लम ये है कि यार ऑन रैम्प ऑफ रैम्प सॉल्यूशंस नहीं मिलते हैं. बैंक्स पार्टनर नहीं करना चाहते हैं, एग्रीगेटर्स पार्टनर नहीं करेंगे तुम्हारे साथ. है कुछ लोग जो अभी भी करते हैं, बट वो प्रॉब्लम बहुत है इंडिया में. So yeah, to a TDS thing, TDS was the, I don't want to say this, but it was a pain. It just slashed revenues and profits of every company. And it has also created a sense of fear because of which all these guys are going outside today. Most of my friends who built crypto companies are outside today. They're not in India. Some of them are in India, but most of them have gone outside for their benefit. So yeah, I don't know that answers that question, but yeah.
Got it. From a layman's perspective, you know, a lot of people that we have on the call started their journey probably 25th June when we started this. 60% of the audience didn't know what Web3 is, and we started with basics. And now when we see the 69 builders that are already there and more growing in, you know, is it worth it to fight these?
क्यों नहीं यार. यार अब ये बताओ. चलो मैं अपनी कहानी बताता हूँ. जी. I was at local, right? मैं तो खुश था यार. हमने सीरीज ए तक रेस किया है. इक्विटी वगैरह सब है. I can chill, bro. I can retire now if I want. But नहीं, no. I don't know. This is how I think of life. आप बताओ. So many of you here. What, 72 people on a Saturday evening, right? You go to sleep. भाई क्या करते हो आप? जॉब आप क्या है? What is your motive, man? आप सैलरी लेते हो महीने का 2 लाख 3 लाख 4 लाख 15 लाख 20 लाख, साल का 2 करोड़ कमाते हो. क्या करोगे? आईफोन खरीदोगे? क्या करोगे? यूरोप टूर जाओगे? मैं भी जाता हूँ, हर साल जाता हूँ. बोरिंग है. बियॉन्ड अ पॉइंट बोरिंग हो जाएगा. You go to sleep, no? You'll have kids, your wife, you have responsibilities, all that stuff. Is that what you want to do in life? You're an individual, no? तू क्या फाइट करेगा? एक इंडिविजुअल आप क्या फाइट करोगे? आप ग्रोथ स्कूल बना रहे हो, WazirX बना रहे हो, फ्लिपकार्ट बना रहे हो. आपका खुद का वजूद क्या है भाई? I'm gender specific बोल रहा हूँ, sorry, don't call me out for this. But what I'm saying is, it is worth it. Have I landed up in jail? No. Have we done something wrong? No. I call out, listen, I'll give you an opinion. I call out Nishchal in the I call out my own company sometimes. कि क्यों कर रहे हो ये? गलत है, मत करो. कोई परफेक्ट नहीं यार, बट ये होना चाहिए कि if doesn't matter what age you are, अब 18 हो, 25 हो, 35 हो, 40, I learned coding at the age of 33, dude. अभी लोग हंसते हैं ना कि बुढ़ा हो रहा है यार, ये कौन सीखता है, बट बनाया ना हमने. आज today I can create my own dApp. Come, I'll create a smart contract for you, Navi. But it is worth it. This is once This I'm saying because I'll give you an example. See, most of my family is outside. They don't live in India. I'm still here. I'm still a little bit of the family that is there. I'm still back in India. Why? इसी देश में पैदा हुआ ना. This is your way of saying कि bro मैं यहाँ बनाएगा चाहे कितना भी difficulty होगा. But you have to be smart. You can't be that mad. You have to smartly put one division of your country outside, one division of your country here. You have to smartly play all those cards. You have to be very धंधा अलग है, धंधा practical है. But it is worth it. Are the Web3 technologies today perfect? They're not. Are DAOs decentralized? Bullshit. None of the DAOs are decentralized. But I can see that, you can see that, so you can build a better DAO. It is worth it. This is once in a life opportunity for you, for normal people like you and me. I call myself the cattle class. Normal people like you and me to come and build. और यार कितने अच्छे लोग हैं यार ecosystem में. When we were building local 120, हमें सीड में 120 135k मिलता था Y Combinator से. अच्छा, Y Combinator का बैकिंग था तो हमें we got a lot of things done in our life. आज सीड में मैं मतलब not that I'm saying it's a great thing. आज today seed rounds you get what man 1.52 मिलता है यार. So there is availability of capital. The community is really strong in crypto. Everybody is growing along with everybody in this. So it is worth it, bro. नहीं तो क्या है, go you sleep on a fancy bed, wake, go. I don't. That's not the version of life some of you should have. Fight. अभी नहीं fight करेगा तो कब करेगा bro?
It just comes from the point where, you know, people are first of all trying to understand the technology at first, then trying to learn about DeFi, dApps, and all these, and then coming to regulations. Kya ab isme government be somewhere, but I think it makes sense. You know, it deep dive to what actually you want to do as a person or in terms of community and dedicating to what the vision that you solve for. Yeah. And I think that that's a larger vision that everybody should focus on and not focus on the daily struggles that you might basically that. We went on 22 minutes expected. But yeah, wonderful session. I think
kickstart leave my ID here. Get in touch with me. Anything you guys need. खाली smart contract मत बनाने बोलना. Audit वगैरह मैं नहीं करूँगा. This is what's my Telegram ID. 1 second. I'll just give you my Telegram ID. Yeah, I mean, reach out if you need any help, anything. Telegram ID. Reach out, have fun, build. But I'm so happy, yaar. So many of them are interested in doing something in Web3. I'm telling you, see, Web3 is not perfect. A lot of hustle is required. When I mean it, I don't get to see my own wife sometimes. I don't get to see my own family sometimes. A lot of hustle is there, but there are a lot of good people. Or please, और एक चीज है, अगर आप कंपनी बना भी रहे हो, तो do not let any Web3 venture capitalist come and tell you, अरे ये तो गलत है, तो धंधा नहीं बन सकता. किसी ने नहीं बनाया, उन्होंने नहीं बनाया, कोई भी किसी ने धंधा नहीं बनाया, ठीक है? Call them out. नहीं पता है, call them. I just give you an example. This man has the guts. He's a 22-year-old man with the guts. तो आप decide करो आपको कैपिटल में कौन चाहिए, but support each other. Don't diss down on people. We are all सब अलग अलग लेवल में, बिकॉज ये पावरफुल है. ये पूरा कम्युनिटी अगर बना ना 10 साल में, इंडिया, अभी देखो इंडिया के पास यूपीआई है. इमेजिन इंडिया एज अ लीडर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड विद दिस टेक prowess. कौन रोकेगा मैं फिर? But be smart about business. Nationalism and business are two different things, but it goes together. Yeah.
We'll take just one last. Nirmal has a question. I have just started building a public goods company. This is for the fresh produce ecosystem. The idea is to DAO it through progressive decentralization.
Wait, I've just started building a public goods company. This is for a fresh produce ecosystem. Badhiya yaar. The idea is to DAO it through a progressive decentralization. What is the step one if I have to make this happen with approval government? What is the door that I want to knock on the government entity? यार सबसे पहले तो my question to you is, Nirmal, wherever you are, bro. हाँ भाई साहब येलो टी शर्ट में, यार DAO क्यों बनाएगा तू? Public good बना, but why do you need a DAO? Just question. You don't have to answer me now. Don't have to answer me. To message me directly, I'll talk to you. But I'll just quickly answer you. One, I don't think so you need the government approval right now. What I think you should be doing right away, अगर तेरे पास funds है, if not, come pitch it to me. If it's great, I'll only put some funds. I think you should register it in Wyoming as quickly as possible. Wyoming is this है, एक स्टेट है यूनाइटेड स्टेट में, वो लोग दे हैव लीगल रूल्स फॉर रजिस्टरिंग DAOs। मेरे को बहुत कूल लगता है वो, बहुत दैट्स द ओनली प्लेस ऑन प्लैनेट अर्थ व्हिच डज इट राइट नाउ। तो व्योमिंग में उसको रजिस्टर कर लो, एंड पब्लिक गुड कंपनी, दिस इज फॉर अ फ्रेश प्रोड्यूस इकोसिस्टम। तो फ्रेश प्रोड्यूस क्या है, व्हाट इज द आइटम, हाउ मेनी कंज्यूमर्स आर देयर, मतलब वो पूरा फनल बता मेरे को, कौन लेगा इसमें, गवर्नमेंट बैठता है, आर यू रीडूइंग द मंडी इकोसिस्टम, क्या है, like this entire ecosystem stuff like that। if it makes you approval of, you don't need a government's approval at this stage, तो रजिस्टर कर ले पहले इसको, व्योमिंग में जाके रजिस्टर कर ले, फिर हम बात करेंगे। एंड व्हाट इज द फर्स्ट डोर दैट हैव टू नॉक ऑन द गवर्नमेंट एंटिटी? यार द फर्स्ट डोर दैट यू हैव टू नॉक ऑन इज the ministry which takes care of whatever agriculture and all of that, but there are a lot of other doors you have to crack it, because they will not listen to a young entrepreneur. The first door that I ideally believe you should knock on right now if you want to do something like that in India is an entity called Niti Aayog, which used to be run by Amitabh Khan sir, legendary gentleman, बहुत कुछ किया है देश के लिए उन्होंने। तो there are other, there's another gentleman, I think there's a very learned gentleman who's, I'm just forgetting his name, pardon me, तो वो चला रहे हैं अभी नीति आयोग। तो आप नीति आयोग को अप्रोच करो, बिकॉज नीति आयोग ये सब चीजों पे बहुत कुछ करती है, दे वर्क विद द गवर्नमेंट, द गवर्नमेंट ट्रीट्स नीति आयोग एज अ थिंक टैंक, लाइक वी ट्रीट से if Nansen AI, एक एनालिटिक्स कंपनी है क्रिप्टो में, Nansen AI कुछ रिपोर्ट निकालता है, I treat Nansen AI as my think tank, और an intelligence report निकाला है, right? So I think you should approach Niti Aayog. I'll introduce you to the guys because I think it's a great idea. But पहले register कर ले, but I'm still going to question you कि तुझे DAO क्यों बनाना है, तो क्यों जरूरत है DAO का? But yeah, anyway, all the best बाबा, बना इसको। So yeah, I have been part of the ecosystem and I've seen a 35-year-old business. I want the system to be clean. सर देखो, क्लीन कुछ नहीं होगा, क्योंकि आप और हमसे ही सिस्टम बनता है, आप और हम भी कंपनी बनाते हैं। फाउंडर्स के दूध से धुले हुए क्या, ये वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट दूध से धुले हुए क्या, ये जो पंप NFT के बंदे दूध से धुले हुए कोई नहीं है, हम खुद, I don't know how to put it, it's an individual call, man. If I can call out my company for things that I don't believe in, if I can call out the larger ecosystem, then you believe in the ecosystem. But you have to do it in a nice way. You can't shit on people. None of us, we shit on anybody. We help each other, right? So clean तो bro, clean तो कुछ नहीं होगा. There'll never be a 100% clean ecosystem. वो यूटोपियन वर्ल्ड है, वो किताबों में होता है, वो नहीं होगा। ह्यूमन बींग्स हम सबके एक ही क्वालिटीज है, हम भी ग्रीडी है, आप भी ग्रीडी हो, कोई ना कोई ऊपर नीचे होते रहता है, चलते रहेगा, इक्विलिब्रियम आएगा। बट या दैट इज व्हाट इट इज माय फ्रेंड्स। क्रिप्टो पार्टी लॉन्च कर लो यार, इतने जन हो, 67 पीपल, एक बिटकॉइन डालो, फंडिंग हो जाएगा, एक क्रिप्टो पार्टी लॉन्च हो जाएगा। ऐसा मत करना, आई एम जस्ट टॉकिंग क्रैप, बट
yeah. I think perfect note. A lot of questions. We came with a lot of questions and we are going with a lot of interesting questions more. I think that's where a session is considered successful, when you are able to think more and come up with more questions. I think we'll take some amount of time, sync up the knowledge that we have got and figure out a lot of things on our own. And also, I mean, if any folks are in Bangalore, you will see Aritra in most of the meetups possible. Whenever he's available, you can just speak to him very casually.
Meetups are a great place to know like who's building what in crypto, and I mean some of them are regular kids, but the other ones are good. You'll meet good people. You'll meet some really good people. But yeah, I'll take leave at this point. Thank you so much, man. Guys, my only thing is I don't know how much you've learned in the last 30 days of this. I didn't want it to be a boring, bloody legal policy session on Saturday evening when some of you should be enjoying with your friends and family and loved ones on a Saturday evening. But आप जो भी प्रोफेशन में हो, whichever profession you are in, you don't have to leave a job to start a company. अपने finances देखो, learn the core of crypto and web3. The ideology is really strong, but please remember, ideology is not equal to business. Remember that. Build your skills. This is a great time to build a company. There are a lot of people who are funding. Near protocol is coming to India. There is another protocol which wants to come to India and fund more companies, right? So this is the time that you should build. Market डूबा है, bear market है, idea है, pitch बनाओ, investors के पास जाओ, you want, come to me, I will introduce you to people, grants उठाओ, 20-30K, $30,000 का grant उठाओ, company बनाओ, नौकरी मत छोड़ो, company बनाओ, customer लो, फिर छोड़ो जब ढंग से raise कर सकते हो। But yeah, all the best, man.
Perfect. Thank you so much everyone for joining. Thank you so much, Aritra, once again. That's it.